Good evening, my good tenor. Today we're going to be talking about the new sized gunblade thingy that is called the Corufell. Corufell? I don't actually know how to pronounce this weapon and I'm bad with pronouncing things. Now usually I don't enjoy gunblades and heavy attack builds. It just isn't my playstyle. But let me tell you something, my good fine magnificent sirs and madams. This one is fun. Like a lot of fun. As a base size and normal attacking, it's dog shit. But its heavy attack is ultra satisfying and does big damage. Now let's get into the build. Before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe. It goes a long way. Thank you so much. This is your typical heavy attack build pretty much. We go for Killing Blow for that extra heavy attack damage, Amalgam Organ Shatter, and we build for Corrosive Heat here for the heavy attack. Because the heavy attack has built-in heat, so we go Corrosive Heat here, although it doesn't really matter because the status chance is really low. But, however, Corrosive is really nice, especially if you're doing the new game mode for the Grenier, and also just in general for Grenier enemies and so on. But you will do enough damage that you should be able to one-shot corpuses if done correctly. Now, Sacrificial mods, Amalgam Organ Shatter, Condition Overload. This is the most important mod here because it gives you a massive amount of damage because we're going to be priming enemies while using this weapon. This is the most important mod. Get this. Quickening for that extra attack speed and combo count chance, and then Primed Fever Strike just for that extra huge toxin damage, and then Electricity for corrosive. Easy. And then Gale Force Dawn for the stance as well. The primer we're going to be using, we can use 2. And the reason why we use 2 is as follows. Epitar is just for your normal priming as you would with a normal priming weapon. But the Cedo, the reason why I use this is because sometimes it is annoying having to switch to your weapon and shoot the whole time. Whereas with the Cedo, you can just use the alternate fire quickly and go back to meleeing enemies while the glaive bounces between all the enemies, applying a whole bunch of status effects, thus proccing Condition Overload and allowing you to do a huge amount of damage. Now this weapon synergizes very well with Citrine, obviously, because it's her weapon. But the reason why it synergizes so well is because of her fourth. Her fourth actually is really good for this weapon. And I use this build over here mostly when I play this. It's a pull build to pull all the enemies in. Press her 4, and then you can also, if you want, put on attack speed, which is Arcane Strike, which allows you to shoot more and have more attack speed. That's really useful. Or you can have the other mod, which is Arcane Fury. That works too if you want to do more damage with this. But this is the build that I go for. Put pull on, pull the enemies in, and then you heavy attack them, prime them, crystallize, heavy attack. Takes a little bit of setting up to do, but it does work quite well. Now, when I go into the simulacrum and explain the synergies, I will actually explain that if you do not want to use a primer, Citrine's third ability is actually really good for this because it's basically a walking primer for you. Alright, let's hop into the simulacrum and explain what I'm talking about. Okay, so I've hopped into the simulacrum and I'm going to show you each of the builds that I'm talking about. So I'm going to talk about the fourth one with Mag's pull. So it's pretty simple. All you need to do is as follows. Press 3 to pull them all in. You can armor strip them. I'll just armor strip them here to show you. Throw down Cedo's glaive like that. And you press 4. And then you just do damage like that. 3 million and so on and so on. So the armor stripping is the extra step. Obviously armor stripping is going to do more damage no matter what. So you obviously want to do that if you can. But however, I will admit it's a lot to set up. It's just so many buttons, so much setting up and spamming buttons here that just to take your first shot just to kill an enemy. Personally, I prefer not to armor strip unless I subsume the ability over. And like something like Terrify, and then it's a lot easier to do so. All you need to do is as follows. If you're not going to pull the enemies in, that's fine. Just prime like that and then have her fourth up and you will kill enemies no problem. Now, just to show you what I was talking about earlier with Citrine's third ability. So if you don't feel like using a primer and let's say it's just not your playstyle, you can actually use Citrine's third ability to prime. It's not a lot. It's only 4 different procs, but it's something and you should be able to do enough damage with her priming ability. And it should be able to kill enemies quite sufficiently. Her fourth definitely shines here though when you hit the fourth gross with the Gunblade. Or what you can do is use Zarta's Whisper. Zarta's Whisper does pretty big damage as well. So Zarta, press 4, prime enemies, and then you just shoot. So Zarta's nice, especially for if you hit the growth with the bubble and you do a lot more damage. And that's it. That's pretty much how you do it. Now let's talk about what it's good for. Well, it's not the most efficient when it comes to normal clearing. It is doable, but there are better options out there if you want to clear with melee weapons. If you want to play something a bit different with a different playstyle, then this is the weapon to go with. However, this weapon with Varuna is absolutely amazing. But let's be honest, Varuna makes all melee weapons look amazing. Just slap on Condition Overload and you have insane damage. But with this Scythe and Arcane Fury, with Varuna's second ability is just beautiful. It really is. This weapon with a primer, armor stripping, and Zarta's Whisper is all you need. It's amazing. The only downside is the setup is painful and it takes a while to, get all the enemies in, prime, and armor strip, and then use your heavy attack. But if you can get around that, then it's quite fun. This build is great for Acolyte killing, Instill Path, and demolishes in Disruption, and it synergizes with Citrine herself very well, simply for the fact of a 4th and a huge crit damage. And that's really all I have to say for this weapon. It's a great heavy attack build, but mid for normal use, and you get to smack enemies with a scythe, which is never not satisfying. Is it better than the stropha? I've heard not, but it's a great alternative and will do a decent amount of damage. Like I said, it just takes a bit to set up. That's the only downside. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on this weapon, and I'll see you all in the next one.